Forearms are one of the most overlooked areas in strength training. People chase bigger arms, stronger deadlifts, better chin-ups, but almost nobody trains their forearm flexors, extensors, pronators, supinators, and grip patterns intentionally. And yet, forearm weaknesses are one of the most common cause of two of the most debilitating gym injuries: golfer's elbow, medial epicondylitis, and tennis elbow, lateral epicondylitis. After coaching people for over 20 years and having our own personal injury issues to overcome in the past, my brother Yanni and I believe these injuries aren't just common, they're also some of the hardest to fix once they develop. That's why in the Unified Movement System, we take a common sense approach. Instead of waiting for forearm pain to start, we build forearm strength at the beginning of your training journey, during your first 3 structural balance phases of the UMS. I've made a great video explaining the process. There's a link in the description. When the forearms are strong, coordinated, and structurally balanced, you lift more, your elbows stay healthy, your grip improves, your pressing and pulling feel more stable, and your risk of injury drops dramatically. When you lose your elbows, you lose your training. Strong forearms aren't optional, they're your insurance policy. If you want a simple way to get stronger fast, here it is. Train your forearms. Sounds basic, but forearm strength acts like a force multiplier. You'll lift more weight, you'll control the bar better, your joints feel more stable, and your technique improves instantly. This is the fastest upgrade most lifters never take. The forearm is complex, but we can simplify it into 3 key functions: grip, so crushing, pinching, holding, and supporting; wrist motion, flexion, extension, ulnar deviation, and radial deviation; and rotation, supination, and pronation. These functions tie into every major lift: chin-ups, bicep curls, rows, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, kettlebell work, handstands and calisthenics, even conditioning and combat sports. Here's why this matters. Weak forearms equals weak elbows, and the tendons of the wrist flexors and extensors converge at the elbow. If these tissues aren't conditioned properly, they become the first point of failure. Overuse injuries don't come from the muscle, they come from the unprepared tendon. Tennis elbow and golfer's elbow is not an elbow problem, it's a forearm imbalance problem. And in the UMS, we treat forearm training as a structural balance requirement, not an accessory. It's built into the general preparation phases for one reason: elbow and wrist injuries almost always originate from early neglect. So let's start with grip training, the foundation. Forearm development starts with grip, but grip isn't just one thing. There are 4 distinct types that you need for complete development. First is crushing grip. So this is your classic deadlifts, chin-ups, barbell rows. But these lifts alone don't create balanced grip strength. We use captains of crush for grip training specialization work. They come in a range of stiffness to accommodate beginners through extremely strong hands. Next is pinch grip. So this strengthens the thumb and the finger integration. So examples are weight plate pinching and hex dumbbell holds. Pinch grip is vital for climbers, grapplers, and anyone wanting bulletproof hands. Next is support grip, so holds. So this is time under tension grip. Farmer's carries, bar hangs, kettlebell carries. This grip type builds endurance and stabilizes the elbow joint under load. And then finally is finger extension grip, so opening the hands. Most gym injuries come from overuse of the flexors and underuse of the extensors. So training finger extension balances the system. My favorite tools for finger extension are these captains of crush expand your hands, because they come in a range of different thicknesses of rubber bands, so you can use progressive overload nicely. We often prescribe rubber finger bands to clients who experience elbow irritation. It's often the missing piece in the puzzle. If you only close the hand and never train opening, you guarantee irritation. Extension work is mandatory. All right, next is wrist training, so flexion, extension, and deviation. Wrist flexion, that involves the forearm flexors, so it's crucial for gripping, curls, and pulling strength. Examples are dumbbell wrist curls and barbell wrist curls. Next is wrist extension. This is the most neglected pattern and the #1 protector against tennis elbow. So examples are doing reverse curls and dumbbell wrist extension. From my experience, if you neglect wrist extension, tennis elbow is just a matter of time. And then we've got ulnar and radial deviation. Elite injury prevention work, especially for kettlebell lifters, grapplers, swimmers, and racket athletes. I like to use something like this Macebell here because you can progressively overload the movement by just bringing your hand further away from the end of the mace over time. But you can use a broom or a rake or something like that at home as long as there's a bit more weight down one end. And then there's my personal favorite, which is supination and pronation, so the rotational system. Supination and pronation are responsible for stabilizing the elbow under rotation, the exact mechanism behind most golfers and tennis elbow injuries. So supination is turning the palm up. It involves the biceps brachii, the supinator, and the radial head stabilizers. And pronation, turning the palm down, involves the pronator teres, the pronator quadratus, and wrist flexor chain. You can use a Macebell like what I've got here, or you can also use a broomstick. But my personal favorite by far is using a cable or a rope, or like what I've got here, just a piece of a strap from my gymnastics rings. The reason I like this is because with a Macebell or a rake, you're limited with your range of motion. You can only go until the Macebell hits vertical before you start loading the opposite muscles. But when you're using a strap with weight attached to the end like this, you can do full range of motion and maintain constant tension the whole time. Slow, controlled rotation movements restore balance and prevent tendon overload later down the track. Trust me, train rotation or risk a forearm imbalance that kills progress. Let's have a look at equipment choices and how they fit into the UMS programming. Dumbbells are great for natural wrist rotation, great for flexion and extension work, and ideal for asymmetry correction, preferred in structural balance phases. Barbells offer the greatest load, but also the highest stress, so they're best for advanced hypertrophy, requires very strong wrist mobility, and it's not ideal for early rehab or irritated elbows. EZ bars are naturally friendly wrist angle. They're fantastic for flexion and extension, joint friendly, and a perfect middle ground for most lifters. Weighted straps offer constant tension, adjustable angles, and fantastic for rotation work, best for high rep tendon conditioning. The stronger your grip, the safer your elbows are going to be. Let's have a look at where compound lifts fit into all this. So remember that deadlifts, chin-ups, rows, curls, and even bench press train the forearms indirectly, but never through the full functional spectrum. These builds support grip strength, but they do not prevent elbow injuries on their own. This is why the UMS includes direct forearm work in the first 3 general preparation phases. Here's the key takeaways. Forearm training prevents the 2 most common gym injuries, golfer's elbow and tennis elbow. These injuries are extremely hard to fix. Prevention is the only smart strategy. Strong forearms equals strong, healthy elbows. You must balance flexion, extension, rotation, and grip patterns. Dumbbells, straps, and EZ bars and barbells each serve a different purpose. The UMS includes dedicated forearm training early for a reason. Structural balance starts at the wrist and elbow, not at the shoulder. This is one of the most overlooked pieces of long-term strength and longevity. If you want to train hard for decades, protect the system that holds the weights, your forearms. Strength without forearm balance is the fastest path to elbow pain. We've just covered load management, periodization, and structural balance, 3 of the 9 tools we use inside the UMS to make people strong, flexible, and limitless. I've made a great video explaining the whole system. You can click or tap the screen there to watch it, and I'll see you in that next video.